Good morning, viewers. Welcome to this session of project management and you and much more. Today on the show, I have with me a special guest, Lauren.
Good morning.
Welcome, Lauren. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Good to have you.
It's great to be
How
here.
are you doing today?
Fabulous.
Good, good,
Yeah.
good. We had a little bit of adventure setting up this shop for today, didn't we?
Never a dull moment, Phil. Never a dull moment.
We had lots of fun. So, can you tell the viewers, Lauren, what you do? Are you a personal growth coach or consultant, or how would you frame what you do?
What I do, Phil, is I call myself a personal growth advisor. Okay? Essentially, what that means is everything that I do is designed to move people forward, to get them out of their own way. Because, you see, I have more than 25 years worth of experience, study, certifications, all of it designed to move people forward in their lives.
So out of their own way, like barriers in their minds, obstacles?
Yes, because here's the thing, okay? If people don't have what it is they say they want, whatever that might be, and that might be professionally, it could be a dollar amount, it could be physically, they don't have the energy, the body they know they deserve and desire. It could be in relationships. People are looking for a level 10 relationship, you know, something that really feeds them. If you don't have what it is you say you want, what I know for certain is there's something in your subconscious that's stopping you. That's where the barriers come in. That's where people feel as if they're stuck. And yet, there's tools and there's modalities to move people past those blocks.
Gotcha.
And then people actually get what it is they say they want, because what we know is that we each know exactly what we're capable of achieving. We have the picture. Maybe it's $500,000 a year. Maybe it's, you know, maybe it's $1 million a year. Maybe it's to be able to run the marathon. Whatever it is, when you can picture it in your mind, I would tell you that it belongs to you. It belongs to you. You know what you're capable of doing.
Gotcha.
We also know when we're going to pie in the sky. So when I tell people, you know, if you don't have what it is you say you want, I'm not talking about winning the lottery, okay? I'm talking about those things that you can achieve.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So I've heard about so many of these coaches who they claim to do these things, to be able to move people from one state to the other. Are they all under the same umbrella, or are they different umbrellas for this?
It's an excellent question, and there's a reason why I don't call myself a coach. It doesn't mean I don't have coaching certifications. I actually have somewhere in the vicinity of 15 separate and distinct coaching certifications. And what I found was that through all of that study, I could definitely move people, but it required lots of homework, lots of practice, and then over the course of time, I discovered Neuro Linguistic Programming, NLP.
Okay.
Neuro being the brain, linguistic being language. Okay, language, it can be written, it can be spoken, it's how you speak to yourself, how you speak to others, how you interpret. Linguistic, all language. And then programming, I like to think of it as it's your subconscious mind.
Okay.
So it's how those things interact. And what I found, Phil, was that utilizing NLP, which is a science, it's not something that we guess at. We know that we know when the changes are complete. Utilizing NLP, I can take 25 years of study and essentially create change like that. Because things that take place in the subconscious are not only permanent, but they're quick. The brain is faster than you think. That comes from one of my mentors who I was certified in NLP with. But the brain is faster than you think.
How fast? How many bytes per second or bits per second.
Oh, it's one of my favorite little factoids. This is my favorite thing. Okay, so here's the thing. Your conscious mind, the thing we think with, right, processes 60 bits per second.
Wow.
60.
Wow.
So 1 Mississippi, 60 bits of information. And that sounds like, 60 bits per second. You're processing quite a bit throughout the course of a minute or an hour or whatever you might. But here's the incredible thing. Your subconscious processes, get this number because it's impressive, 11 million
Wow.
bits of information in that same second. And here's the thing. Here's the incredible power in this, is that those 11 million are being sifted and sorted every second. Your subconscious is giving you the 60 that you get to play with.
Really? So it's not even your conscious mind, it's...
Oh, no. You want to see my incredible artistic talent?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
all right. Here it is, because this is where you get to see it. And just so you know, I'm doing this upside down and backwards, okay? So just so you get to see the whole thing. So there we go. This is my little representation of an iceberg. Okay, I know you can see it now that I've pointed it out, right? This is my iceberg. Now, we all know that the incredible unsinkable ship was not sunk by what they could see.
The Titanic.
Right. It wasn't sunk by what they could see. It was by what they couldn't see. This is also a great representation of your brain. Okay? Roughly 5% of your brain is conscious, above the surface, what you think with. Like you think you decided what you were going to wear today. Okay? We think we decide what kind of car are we going to drive, what kind of career are we going to get into, how hard are we going to study when we're studying. The reality is 95% is in your subconscious. And remember, we're talking 60 bits per second versus 11 million bits per second. This is what's feeding every decision you make. Is actually being fed to you. Can you see that okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. Every decision you're making is being fed by the subconscious. And in here in the subconscious, this is where it gets kind of fun. Because in here you have things like your programs, your belief system, your religious upbringing. Your heritage is in here. I'm a New York Italian. My natural state is my arms are flying when I'm talking. So in my unconscious, my subconscious will consistently tell me that my arms should be flailing at all times. Okay, now that doesn't necessarily serve me. I speak, I teach, I have clients. This can be very distracting. Okay, so I have taken the time to settle myself down so that heritage, it's in my blood, that heritage is now subdued. I still use my hands, but now it's on a much more cognizant level than them just flailing out there at all times. So in here you have your belief systems, you have your programs, you have the things that people have told you, your parents, your teachers, your friends. This is where we get programs like money doesn't grow on trees. You know, if you're very wealthy, well, then you must be greedy and selfish. You know, or you've done something unethical.
That's like negative programming that.
It is.
Put into.
And the thing is that this is what's running your world. Or maybe there's a program of, well, there's no way I can start over. I'm too old. Or I don't have enough experience to be taken seriously. I'm too young.
Yeah.
You've got women thinking they're too pretty.
Exactly.
Which you wouldn't think of as a negative program, and yet it can be if it's stopping you from taking the action that you know is required to get where it is you say you want to be, wherever that is. And again, it's not just business. And yes, it definitely affects the there's an interesting, it's been out there quite a bit, there's an interesting, they're calling it a syndrome, but they call it imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is really, it's another program. This is where you have usually incredibly successful business people at what others would assume to be the top of their game.
Yeah.
And yet inside, they have this little belief, a little voice that says, well, obviously I'm going to get caught.
People, a little gremlin telling them that they're fake.
That they're faking it, because people have bought into, well, fake it till you make it, and then they make it, but they think they're still faking it. And how much more effective would those people be without the little voice that says, I'm not good enough to do what it is that people think I'm capable of doing?
Absolutely, yeah.
This is, and when you have an overriding, I'm not good enough. I don't learn quickly. I've had some of the most brilliant people, by my opinion, looking at them, and I work with them, and I see the intelligence, and I see how fast they pick up, and yet they have a belief that says, well, I can't take tests. Oh, you do. Why is that? These are they're programs or gremlins. I call them bugaboos, but Phil, I like gremlins. That kind of works. But they come up and they bite you.
That's funny. That's from Ed DeCosta, one of my mentors. He calls a little gremlin on your shoulder, just telling you things. Are these programs like you can't do this or that? How do they get into people? Is it from external to them, or is it inborn? Is it internal?
Well, this is the world according to Lauren. Okay. I believe we're only born with two fears, and this part I've read.
Okay.
Inherently, when we come into this world, we have two fears. That's it. And those are the fear of falling. Okay? That's a fear. And loud noises. Those are the only two. And when you think of history and you think of, babies, and those two make sense.
Yeah.
And protective mothering, and so two fears. Everything else we made up. Everything else. That we were not born with the fear of public speaking. Right? We weren't born with the fear of doing math, public math in front of people.
Yeah.
We weren't born this way.
Yeah.
There's two fears. So in my opinion, all the other fears, all the other gremlins we'll pick them up along the way.
Oh,
I
baggage.
actually, we got a little baggage. And I had a mentor, I've had many. I have studied with the best of the best in every modality I'm certified in, and I've studied with mentors that were incredible. And when I say study, I don't mean like I spent a weekend with them. I mean like years of regular contact. And I had a mentor once who used to say, and I know I'm doing an extra graphic here, but we'll just roll with it. He used to say, the programs that stopped you in here, that stop you. I'm not good enough. Oh, here's some more. There's no good men out there. You hear single women say that, right? Or you can't lose weight if you're over 50.
Yeah.
More programs, just so you know. Or here's another great one. It just keeps going.
Yeah.
But you have to work really, really hard to get anywhere. Okay? Again, it's a program. It doesn't, if it's not serving you, it doesn't belong there. But anyway, my mentor used to say that the programs that stop you amounted to 13 minutes of your life is when they got installed.
Oh, wow, just that.
13 minutes. Now, do I have time for a quick story?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, so keeping in mind, you just asked me, where do these programs come from? The first thing I want to tell you is that I have a belief that everybody on the planet is doing the best they can with the programs and the belief systems and the resources they have available in their subconscious. Okay? If they could do better, they would. Okay? That's my belief, and you take it for what it's worth. Are there absolutely people whose programs are completely messed up? Yes, there are. We stay away from those people. Okay? But I believe everybody's doing the best they can. So as I tell you my story, or as we think about how did these get installed, we don't want to misinterpret that the people where we heard these things are bad, or they had anything but the best of intentions for us. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to take that in. The only thing that I'm demonstrating is how these can get laid in. So many, many years ago, more than I'll say, I was a very little girl.
Just 5 years ago.
Yeah, 5. Well, okay, more than that. But I was 6 or 7 years old. And I grew up on Long Island. And I was coming home from school one day. And I had a piece of paper in my hand. And I was running as fast as I could because I was so excited. And I ran in the front door of my house. And it was a rather large, brand new home. And I ran in the door. And I was expecting to find my mom. And instead, as I looked into the house, my dad was sitting there. Now, my dad was a very large man. He was 6'5", and he was big. He was a presence. Okay. Now, thinking back on it now, I don't know what he was doing home at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but there he was. And as I walked in the door with my piece of paper, I ran up to my dad because he was the first one I saw, and I said, "Dad, guess what?" And he looked at me and he said, "What?" And I said, "I got my math test back." And he said, "Okay." And I said, "I got a 98.
Wow.
I got a 98. I was beaming. I was so happy. Now remember, my dad is 6'5". He's sitting, I'm standing. We're about at eye level. And my dad did what I referred to as dark face. Yeah, that's what, I don't know if you've ever had the experience of somebody, they look at you through your eyebrows. That probably looks really funny on camera, but I'm just telling you. It was like this.
Oh, dear.
And he looked at me and he said, "And you go with that?" I said, "Yes." He said, "It's a 98. You know, this is good." And he looked at me and he said, "And you're all right with that? Not good enough?" And again, should you ever repeat the story, Phil, I prefer to be called tenacious, okay? Not stubborn. But I said, "Yeah." I said, "Look, the teacher even put good job, smiley face. I got an A. It's a 98. He said, "Here's what I want to know. What happened to the other 2 points? Did you even bother to look?" I said, "No." He said, "Did you know the material? Did you study? You know, if you didn't know the material, then obviously you didn't study hard enough." He says, "And if you did know the material, did you check your work? Because you know there's never a reason to get a math problem wrong because you can always check your work." And he says, "And if you ran out of time, then it goes back to you didn't study hard enough."
Oh, dear.
Well, by now, even as tenacious as I was, I got it. Like, okay, Dad's not happy. Now, think about that scenario. How long did it take for him to say, "And you're good with that?" I mean, we're talking a snippet. 10 seconds maybe between the time of, "Are you good with that?" me saying, "Okay," and him coming back one more time to go, "Really?" Now, in that moment, depending on what I've already got in my program, I could take in all kinds of beliefs that will sit here. Now, what if I took in, well, obviously I'm no good at math. And I ran the rest of my school years believing that I didn't know how to do math. How many people have that program? Well, you know, I'm just not good at math. I never do public math. You know, how many have that? Maybe I took in that my best was never going to be good enough. Now we have some serious little program going on.
That's true, and that was a short programming?
It
didn't
was-
even take too long.
It doesn't. This is where we get 13
My
minutes.
goodness. Wow.
What if I took in that in order to be lovable, right? In order, because was my dad very loving when as he gives me dark face, do I feel loved in that moment? If I take in the program that says I have to be perfect to be lovable,
That's a very dangerous program.
oh, it is.
Life damaging, to be honest.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I will tell you that little snippet, could, and actually that and others did set me up
Oh, damn. Wow.
for making choices that just basically didn't work for me because I was looking, I ask people because it's actually a very common program. I have to be perfect in order to be lovable. Well, I'm sorry, Phil, how many perfect people do you know? Right? Like, here we are going about our lives and we end up with these little programs in there. Gremlins, goblins, bugaboos. Are they good, bad, right, wrong? No.
You know what I'm taking away from what you just said, Lauren? I'm thinking of how even bosses, so-called bosses, I don't even like the word, I prefer leaders.
Right.
Well, they're not leading, so let's call them bosses.
Right, well, I was going to say, I think we're talking about two different things. There's bosses and then there's true leaders.
Exactly.
So, yes.
Exactly. People who should be leaders, but the bosses, programming wrong things into employees and then having them act in a particular way and wondering why they're that way. They programmed a lot of that stuff into them.
And it's so true. And when you add that to what's already in there, you're setting yourself up for, I call it no bueno. It's no bueno. And it's very difficult to move forward, which is where people want to go.
Yeah.
Moving forward is, I believe, why we're here. We're to move forward, and of course there's a deeper piece to that.
Absolutely.
I believe that every person on the planet is here for something.
Absolutely. So Lauren, what would we tell the viewers? I mean, could you just give them, I think we got about 2 or 3 minutes left before the end of the show. You just tell them or give some insights as to how one can protect oneself from this negative programming.
Well, of course, that takes longer than 2 or 3 minutes, Phil. But what I can tell you is that when you become aware of those things that you have been striving for and you don't have them yet, there is a moment between when you have a thought, where our subconsciouses are so strong. We know when we get those little sparks that we know that if we did this, it would catapult this piece and move us forward more towards what it is we say we want. Now, we can put that in business, we can put it in, like I said, physicality. When like we come up with these plans. Well, every morning I'm going to get up and walk 5 miles or 2 miles, or I'm going to start with them. And then in the morning, it's our first thought, knowing that's where you get to start playing with it. And you get to start asking yourself, because the answers are in there. Now, there are ways and means. Obviously, this is what I do. My whole practice, my whole everything is to get in there, find those, and switch them up, which is, it's what I do. And I love what I do. I love to watch people change. But obviously I can't be with every person out there. But I would encourage you to ask the proper questions of your subconscious, because those 11 million bits per second, they have the answer. It's in there, okay? Accessing your subconscious, when you can ask yourself, get quiet. It doesn't take 40 minutes of meditation. This is a very, very easy, don't make this hard. It doesn't have to be hard. You simply take a breath, just to relax your body. And then you ask yourself the questions. You know, what now, what next? What would that look like? Who has my answer? What would it look like? Those are questions, and your subconscious will give you the answer. It is on your side 100% of the time. I guarantee it. It's on your side. The only reason those bugaboos in there still exist is because they're confused. They're like little 2-year-olds running rampant. They don't understand that what they're doing is not serving you anymore. That's where we can change them up. But when you can ask your own subconscious, the answers are there. And here's a little hip tip for you. Here's a hip tip. When you are asking your subconscious questions, you can ask it what, you can ask it who, you can ask it how, you can ask it any kind of question. The only thing that you will avoid now is the question why. Okay? You leave that one off to the side because you can feel it. Even do it right now. Just ask yourself, why am I not more successful? Well, not in your case because you're highly successful, but why?
There's always room for growth.
There's always, right, more, better, different. But ask yourself why, and you will immediately feel your conscious mind kick in to come up with the answer, which is a justification for why you're not already there. Don't do that. Don't play that game. Okay? All the other ones, the answers are there. Try it at night. First thing in the morning when you're a little bit on the quiet side. And the answers are there. And that'll give you a clue. And then, of course, my next bit of advice is call me.
So, Lauren, tell us, Lauren. Speaking of calling, so I've got our directors telling us our time is taken away. So, can you tell the audience, just let them know how they can get your website, how they can learn more about you, and if they ever wanted to speak to you, how do they do that?
Okay, it's really simple. My company is called The Growth Company. So it's thegrowthcompany.net.
Thegrowthcompany.net. You heard it, folks. Go to thegrowthcompany.net.
And they can email me from there. They can, I think my phone number's even on there.
Awesome.
Find me, I respond to people, I will answer questions for you, and then we go from there.
Amazing. And you guys know the life of a project manager is one in which you need to be at your best. You need to move yourself from your stuck states to the future state you want to get to. And who better to help than Lauren? So make sure you visit
The Growth Company.
thegrowthcompany.net.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much, Lauren. Great to have you. And we look forward to having more discussions.
It would be my pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye for now, folks. Take care. Bye for now.